everyone, my name is Brittany Licka, and in my research sharing video, I'm going to be talking about the article titled A Critical Inquiry Approach to Mentor Text, Learn It with Ease. The author of this article is named Cynthia A. Dollins. Cynthia serves as an assistant professor in the School of Education, specializing in critical, multicultural, early and adolescent literacy. The journal that this article is published in is named The Reading Teacher. The Reading Teacher provides the latest peer-reviewed, research-based best practices to literacy educators working with children up to age 12. Reading Teacher's classroom-ready articles cover topics from curriculum, instruction, and assessment to strategies for teaching diverse populations of literacy learners. The key points that I'd like to note about this article are mining mentor texts. The Common Core State Standards require students to look beyond what is being told or taught in a text and recognize how a text is written. 3 of the 10 anchor standards for reading help students look deeper into the meaning and figure out how to analyze how and why an author uses a particular craft and structure for his or her text. The standards that are the 3 out of the 10. The first one is Standard 4, which is interpret words and phrases as they are used in a text, including determining technical, connotative, and figurative meanings, and analyze how specific word choices shape meaning or tone. The next standard is Standard 5, which is analyze the structure of texts, including how specific sentences, paragraphs, and larger portions of the text relate to each other and the whole. And finally, Standard 6, which is assess how point of view or purpose shapes the content and style of a text. So these standards ask readers to decipher how specific word choices and writing style shape an author's purpose, tone, and message. The next key point of this article, which I would consider to be the main point of this entire article, is the EASE strategy. So the EASE strategy stands for E for examine, A for assess, S for suggest, and E for envision. On the next slide is an example of the EASE strategy being implemented, and I will go into more detail about what each word stands for and what it means by that. The next one is organizing magnificent mentors. Gallagher stated that mentor texts support the teaching of writing by immersing students in the ideas that have elevated a piece of writing. So with this in mind, we want to select the most inspiring texts to ease into writing improvement. Almost any type of creative or powerful author craft can be taught and reinforced with this strategy. One thing to note that was mentioned in the article that I found to be interesting is that it's mentioned to keep these inspirational texts into a Google Doc because students are able to access Google Docs at any time, and I found that to be very helpful. And then finally, the other key point of this article is ease into independent writing. So ease into independent writing, I found that to be very interesting because it allows the students to be able to become the writer themselves. So An example that was used in the article, it said that fourth graders were asked to directly apply ease to their drafts in their writing folders, as well as make a conscious effort to implement the strategies they took from authors into many of their own writing assignments. It said that they met with the small groups of students each week and invited them to share author moves that had eased into their writing. The process was a way to acknowledge and celebrate everyone in the group and to provide an opportunity for students to learn more writing moves from one another. And in addition to bringing their writing folders to the small group discussions, students were asked to bring the original text, or at least the copy of the passage of the text that they used to glean exceptional author ideas. This reinforced the idea that the readers, with a writer's lens and carefully unpacking the great strategies of authors. So I found that example in the journal, in the article, to be very interesting because it was neat to see that fourth graders were able to implement this ease strategy. And it seems like when students are able to really look at a text deeper and understand the mind of the author, that it makes it easier for them to be the author themselves. And I found that to be really interesting. And on this next slide, like I said, is the example of the ease writing strategy with the student ease chart. And it shows examine is what does the author do? The student said that the author used alliteration, which is when words start the same. And for assess, it asks, why did the author write in this particular way? And the student said, because it helps them to read more fluently. And it's fun to say, like spilled, spit, and sputtered. Suggest is how could you write the passage in a different way? So for suggest, this is a way for the students to be more creative. And this student said, he spilled milk everywhere in the middle of breakfast, creating a colossal mess. And lastly, envision, when could you use a similar move in your own writing? And they said, Catherine caught a colossal-sized carp while camping with a curious and cuddly cat named Chrysanthemum. I could use this when I want the writing to be funny and fast. I thought that was a great example of the ease strategy being used, and it just goes a little more into detail about what each word means for examine, assess, suggest, and envision. This is just an example of picture books to ease into, and this was in the article, and I thought it was a good thing to know in case it would want to be used in the future. Lastly, the key takeaways from this article is that the ease strategy helps students dive deeper into writing and to analyze the craft of the author, to read like writers, and then transfer this knowledge to write like readers. Next, I would like to model the ease strategy with a selected text. In the future, I would definitely like to use this ease strategy for my future students because I feel like it is a very important strategy that would be very beneficial. I would also diagnostically assess students' writing to capitalize on areas of strength, but also note key areas that need improvement. That is important to definitely note the students' areas of strength so that they can know where they're succeeding, but also it's important to note the areas that need improvement because constructive criticism is also important because the students need to know where they need to improve. And lastly, just I wanted to say that as a future teacher, I definitely want to implement the ease strategy in my classroom as much as I can with the area of reading and writing, because I feel like my students can get into the minds of the author and learn how to be a better writer as a result of it.